Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I am holding the Little Mermaid DVD because I am doing a review of the Twisted Tale for the Little Mermaid, Part of Your World. And I don't have the book because I got it from the library. That's what I've been, doing with these Twisted Tales, just getting them from the library because they're not books I would necessarily want to keep. They're just books that for nostalgia reasons, they're kind of fun to read. So I figured why not show the Little Mermaid DVD as the thumbnail if I can get it to be the thumbnail, because I'm just still cannot figure out how the thumbnail process works. But, so like I said, this is the Twisted Tale version of the Little Mermaid. And in case you don't remember, the Twisted Tales are basically these young adult, although sometimes they read a little bit younger than young adult, or at least early young adult. Where you take an aspect of the original Disney anime feature and change it. And say, like, what if this happened instead? So in the Little Mermaid one, the key moment they change is the end, the climax, where Ariel does not defeat Ursula. She is chased back down to the sea, voiceless, and she is now ruling Atlantica for the past 5 years, because apparently her sisters think the logical punishment for her is to rule the city, and I will explain why I thought that's weird. But not the city, the kingdom, and I'll elaborate more on that in a minute. And Ursula, disguised as Vanessa, is ruling Eric's kingdom, and I don't know how that Tyrolia or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. And Eric is still under her spell. And she's basically having a little too much fun on him as queen of his kingdom, or as princess, apparently, because according in that movie, they imply that his parents in the novel, they imply that Eric's parents are alive. So first let's talk about the good stuff, the stuff that I liked. Like I said, I like that these Twisted Tales get to elaborate and explore different avenues of the original story. And in this case, we get to, like, a lot of the criticism that the movie gets from us adults looking back on it is that Ariel didn't really grow as a character. She still gets what she wants by the end of the story. Like, yeah, you could argue that, she didn't know she was going to get what she wanted, and her father decides her father is the one that grows and learns. And he gives her what he wants. So, in a way, maybe he's, there was actually a video essay that, like, almost talked about how it's Trayden because he's the character that grows in the story, so maybe you could argue he's a protagonist to the Little Mermaid story. I think that's what the essay, I have to look for it, but I remember distinctly watching an essay on YouTube that talked about, because he was the character that grew and changed. And I liked how we saw Ariel mature a lot more. She gained wisdom from her experience. Like, I think the only way someone really learns from their mistakes is if there are big consequences to it. And yes, there was the battle, and Eric almost lost his life, and her father was turned into a polyp, which he still is in the book. Although I don't know why I'm pointing to, because this is not actually the book, I'm just using it as a thumbnail. Sorry, just a little bit of a frog in my throat. But it's a lot, like, I don't think it's a spoiler that they defeat Ursula. And, so in this, they don't defeat her. She's ruling the kingdom, so Ariel has to live with the consequences that it's her fault, that Eric's kingdom is ruled by an evil sea witch in disguise, and Eric is still under her spell, and that her father was turned into this weird, creepy creature thingy. In the book, they think he died. So, in her sister's logic, she has all of her sisters, and in their logic, they decide to make her queen because, like, she deserves. This is how she's gonna suffer, because she's responsible for other stuff. So we're gonna let her rule the kingdom because she needs to suffer. And to me, that logic is just really weird, because it's just like, how does that make sense? The girl that you believe is responsible for your father's murder you're letting her have full power over your kingdom? Like, it's weird to me. It's just weird. But anyway, I don't want to get any more into that because, like I said, I want to stick to the positive first. So I'll go, so see, this is why I'm just bad at reviews, because I end up stuttering a lot and I have trouble really being succinct. So we see her grow immature, and she is living with not only consequences of her actions, the memory of what she has done, and how this is all her fault, mostly her fault. She's also, like, she's beginning to understand the responsibilities and weight of her father's job as King Triton. Everyone's constantly wanting her attention. Everyone is constantly complaining to her. No one is listening to her, and it makes it worse because she can't communicate with people. She's still voiceless. And even Sebastian doesn't always listen to her, and he's the only one, and she has to rely on Sebastian Flounder to get people to listen and communicate, and so she has to form a bit of a sign language type form of communication with everybody. And and her sisters aren't really doing anything. They're being very lazy about this, and so you see her dealing with a lot. And she's matured, and like I said, gained wisdom from this experience. And she regrets them and she regrets her actions. So it was really nice to see Ariel actually grow and change, unlike in the original movie where she didn't really grow and change that much. Like, she still got what she wanted. She almost didn't get Eric, yes, but by the end, it's Triton who's like, I can see my daughter loves him. I need to let my daughter go. And he gives her what she wants. So she gets her happy ending. She doesn't really learn from her mistakes, which, granted, it's a Disney fairy tale, so it's not like they're going to make it end the way the original fairy tale did, where she basically turned into sea foam and then an angel, so she pretty much dies in the original story, and Eric marries another woman. But at the same time, like, as an adult, you can't help but think Ariel did not learn anything from her experience. Now, in defense of Ariel, at the time she was 16. She's very immature, hormonal. She felt trapped. She felt bored and unsatisfied. So she is what a lot of teenagers feel. She felt. So it's and she's very immature at the time because she's 16 years old. So it's like, you kind of understand. What is nice about this story, what I like and why I still like it, is because she has a personality that is relatable, and you can kind of understand her motives. You get that she's, like, as a teenager, she's gonna do stupid, impulsive things because she probably thinks she knows everything, and she doesn't. So it was like, and she also has a really cool hobby of collecting things, of human stuff. Like, she wasn't just chasing after, it was about Eric, but it wasn't. But her whole life, it's all about, she just likes human stuff. She's fascinated by the human world. And she collects all this. So before she even met Eric was just another plus to her love for the human world. She fell in love with the human world. And then Eric, she sees Eric, and she develops this instant crush on him. And she saves his life. So she thinks, oh, I'm in love with him. And that's how a lot of teenagers are like that. In my experience, as a teenager myself, a lot of times we think we know everything. We're impulsive, and we always think and sometimes we get caught up in our feelings and think, oh, I'm in love with this person, even though I barely know them. So Ariel so I still have a soft spot for the Little Mermaid story. Despite some of the flaws, like, Ariel didn't really learn and grow as a character. But part of your world shows that she has grown. And that's what the whole plot allowed for it to happen. I also like that the author used a lot of great descriptions. You could really picture and feel the scene and see it in your mind's eye, like what was going on, which was really nice. So the author was great at descriptions and really setting the scene. I also like that characters like Carlotta and Grimsby played a bigger role. There were minor roles in the original movie, but we really get to see Eric's relationship with Grimsby, and you get to see how Ariel really cares about them and has formed a friendship with them. And we see how they will do anything for Eric. because they have a love for him. You know, even in his own way, when Carlon and Grimsby are talking, Grimsby confesses that he cares about this boy and that Eric is like a son to him. So it was really sweet to see that and see those characters and see us get to know those characters and learn more about them. We still don't get a lot, but I mean it's a short, you know, it's a young adult book. And the movie is, you know, in the original movie is a 30-minute movie. Maybe, you know, maybe a little bit older, like a little bit over 30 minutes, but I mean, well, yeah, actually over 30 minutes, but still not, it's a kid story, so it's, you know, we don't get a whole lot of development when we get enough. I also like how we get to see more of their bond, Eric, and what connects Eric and Ariel. Because under her spell, he ends up focusing on writing an opera about his experience. It, like, really stays with them, which is, you know, we see that, obviously, in the original movie. We see that in here. But this one, like, we see him writing an opera about it. And about meeting Ariel and how she has such a beautiful voice. And in his subconscious, he remembers what happened. And so that was, you know, it was really cool to see that. And it connected them a lot more. And then the last thing I liked was we got to explore both kingdoms a little bit more. We got to learn more about them. I mean, we still didn't spend a lot of time in Atlantica, but we saw more of it. And we got to explore it and see the beauty. We get to see not just the beauty of it, but we learned about the politics and Ariel's struggle Ariel's and King Train's struggle with ruling the kingdom, how hard it is. But of course, we still explore more of Terulia. I don't know if I'm saying it right, where Eric lives. So we get a little bit of the politics. We also meet some other characters, not just Carlon and Grimsby, but we also meet some of the villagers. Like, she meets a tattoo artist, which I think is a little weird, but I mean, pirates have tattoos, so. And so does sailors, so I guess, yeah, tattoo artist. And we get to see, like, so because she ends up exploring the little village, the little town outside of Eric's kingdom, like she does in the original movie, but she's, you know, she looks at it with new eyes and a different perspective, and she really sees it for, you know, a lot more details and just isn't caught up in the bloom of romance and how she's all excited because for the first time she's in the human world. And we also learn more about how the kingdom is running the kingdom and stuff like that, and how Vanessa's doing a terrible job. And so the last thing, first, Frank, I think it was really cool to explore the two kingdoms a lot more and get more developed. And also, we kind of, because of what was Vanessa's ruling the kingdom, Ursula's ruling the kingdom as Vanessa, we get to kind of see some preparing for war type stuff, which was kind of interesting. And then we also see, and then another thing that I liked was we like Ariel's Beginning, the prequel movie that was made. Liz Braswell does try to develop the sisters more. She tries to give them a little bit more personalities, but Ariel does have a lot of sisters. I think there's 6 of them. So it is kind of hard to really give each of them. There's a lot of sisters. And, but there's one particular sister that she focuses on, the oldest sister, who doesn't exactly understand Ariel's love of the human world and why she doesn't like being under the sea. And she at first gives Ariel a hard time, but then, you know, the more she thinks about it throughout the story, we don't spend a lot of time with her, but when we get scenes, we see that, you know, with her, we do see that her opinions and on her sister have changed. And she is kind of proud of Ariel and tries to understand her better, even though she thinks like humans are idiots and not worth her time, and she doesn't understand why Ariel doesn't love the sea as much as she does. So, but they kind of bond a little bit, which I really liked. But I do wish that Braswell developed the sisters more, and we got to know them a little bit better. But again, in defense of Ariel's Beginning, it's a kid story, and they kind of want to focus, and there's a lot of sisters that Ariel has, and they want to focus on Ariel and her adventures and stuff like that. So, and there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, and that the last thing, and for real, this is going to be the last thing that's positive, is that the book had some funny moments, you know, and now, this is my lead into the negative, is that some of the funny moments were because of the negative stuff. So my only problem with these all together is because I'm not the target audience. The writing is very simple, and there are times when, like, where the author will imply something, but then they have to state it right after. They have to explain it right after. It's like, thank you, Captain Obvious. Okay, I kind of get that. You didn't have to spell it out for me. Granted, but like I said, I'm not the target audience. It's for younger readers, like early teen readers, or maybe middle grade readers. And for someone my age and other people that are my age that are reading these books, they're just fun and nostalgic, and just exploring new avenues, new ideas of what could have happened instead of what happens in the original source material. So with that being, yeah, there were some amusing things in it, but it was also because it was kind of, there were times where like, what the heck, like why? So here's my biggest gripe other than the writing, because I feel like I can't really complain about the writing, because like I said, I'm not the target audience, so of course the writing is gonna not be for me. Is Eric and Ursula, as they're portrayed in this book. Not this, but in the book, part of your world. Now, Ariel matures a lot, but Eric seems to have dematured. He's not, like, I assumed by the way he was drawn that he was at least 21. Because, like, if you're a teenage boy, I don't think you're not going to be as buff. And he wasn't like Hercules or anything. Heracles, I should say, because apparently I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. He's not like Heracles as far as his body type, but he's not, granted, we don't ever see his shirt off, so maybe he does have a six-pack, I don't know, but I thought he was 21. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there are 16-year-olds that do look, but he look all buff and muscular, I don't know, but to me, how he was drawn looked like he was 21. But he acts like he's 16. Like, he acts like the age that Ariel was at the time when she first met him. Very immature, and very like as if Ariel is his crush, his fabulous crush, and that she's so awesome because she's a mermaid, and he's just so excited about, and he's like, when Ariel breaks Ursula's hold on him, and this is not like it's not like the finale or anything, because she breaks before the book ends, like way in the beginning or in the middle of the story, like I guess Act 2, maybe in Act 2, I guess you could say, is when she breaks, pulls him out of the spell. So to me, that's not really much of not a spoiler, and he's like, oh my god, it really happened, that's so cool. I mean, he doesn't say that's so cool, but just that's the vibe I got from him. Is like, and then when she says that he's married to basically an octopod or whatever, one that's half octopus, his only response is, ew, that's really gross. It's like, yeah, and the woman could also sucker you and strangle you to death with her tentacles, and she could suck your face and that could kill you. And that all you can think of how gross it is. And it's like, especially the fact that she's technically an old woman. And it's like I said, my concern would be not just that it's gross, but because she can strangle me with her tentacles if she wanted to. That would be my priority. I would be more like, oh my god, this woman could kill me. Not, oh my god, that's really gross, I'm married to an octopus. And I did find it funny that Ariel kind of defended Ursula in that moment. It's like, what's wrong with octopuses? like, what's wrong? Why? I thought that was kind of funny. That was one of the funny parts, is that she kind of defends Ursula, because Ursula's still technically part of her world. She's a fish, or an octopus. So I thought that was kind of funny that she still defended her when he was all grossed out by it. That was funny. And it just annoyed me so much. Because, like I said, he was like, yeah, let's do it. And it's like, how old are you, dude? You're 16, or even worse, maybe you're 13. It's like, I assumed he was in his early 20s. And if I'm right, he is 21, then I would think he would be like at least mid-20s. Granted, even in your 20s, you're immature, but still, you're not as immature as he was. I don't know why I want to point this because this is not the book. I'm just using this as a thumbnail. Okay, I'm gonna put it down, in fact, because it's not the book. I just wanted to see if, if I can get the thumbnail, then maybe that I can make that show up. But, yeah, it's just his vibes made me think he was the stupid teenage boy who had a crush on a mermaid. And it's like, she's more mature than him, and it was the other way around. She was the immature one, and yes, she's grown up. And like I said, I like that part about the story, but you would think he would grow up too. And also, another thing that bugs me is, he's just like, first of all, I understand that it's awkward. I'm fine with it being awkward when they first reunite, because they do reunite, obviously. But it was like, yeah. I mean, maybe for like a second he's like, kind of seems a little upset, but then it goes away quickly because he feels bad. And it's like, you would think he's a human being. You would think he would be a little more bad because this Ariel is responsible, even though she was a teen. I still say what I say, which is that she was an impulsive teenage girl who was taken advantage of and was very emotional and had developed a crush on this human prince. So, yeah, and understand that she makes impulsive decisions, and you gotta give her, and it's okay to give her a little bit of a break. But it's like, she still is responsible for this woman, this octopus disguised as this beautiful woman, put him under a spell and took over his whole kingdom and is basically destroying his kingdom piece by piece and starting wars with all the neighboring kingdoms. And he's like, oh, so, okay, well, I still have this massive crush on you, even though I barely know you. So, you're gonna stop this? So that means you get a free pass. Like, he wasn't, to me, it felt like he never got mad at her about it. He would, like, maybe he got mad for, like, a second. But it was like, I would think he'd be a little more annoyed and not as trusting of her. Like, the only argument I can make is, like I said, this is for kids. The riddle story is for younger readers. So, they probably didn't want to make it too dramatic or complicated. They wanted to make it like Ariel still gets her happy ending and everything. And, Eric is in love with her. It just, I still have a soft spot for it, but just when they expand it, if they go with the way Liz Braswell expanded, no disrespect for her. I mean, this is great that she wrote this, but the way she wrote it just didn't suit well with me. And then, so the other one is Ursula, aka Vanessa. And when she was in this other body, but she is still Ursula deep down. She was a badass, scary witch, sea witch. She turns into a 10-foot tall woman towering over them and using her tentacles to create these huge ass waves that would send them flying. And she wanted to rule the sea. That was her priority, ruling the sea and having the power to, and then we end up, but then basically she's all like, oh, I actually kind of like the humans. They're fun to play with. And she acts like a teenage girl, like she acts like a typical princess, but it's not like she's just pretending that when she's by herself, she's this way. She's like a spoiled child. She's like those popular girls in those, Disney Channel original movies or other, teen movies where the popular girl's such a diva and she's like, I get what I want and I'm gonna ruin the life of the girl who's sabotaging me getting what I want. And to me, she did not feel intimidating or bad. She felt more annoying. And it was like, you're this badass sea witch. And, okay, I get that on land, she did not have powers. I get that. But she still, it still felt like she wasn't as scary in the book as she was in the movie. In the movie, she kind of has a little bit of sex appeal going on, a little sexiness going on. And yet, in this one, she's just, they describe her as a beautiful woman, but she's not as, sultry. And that was a kid's movie. She was based on a famous drag queen. And it was a kid's movie. So, I don't know what they could have done to make it better, what Liz Braswell could have done to make it better, but Vanessa / Ursula was just a disappointment in the story, and Eric was also such a disappointment. And we have, I did like the character of Jonah. She was a relative of Scuttle's, and she's completely opposite of him and constantly correcting him because you know how he gets things wrong. And so she was fun, you know, although I think they, like, towards the end of the book, they had a little chapter from her perspective that was like a paragraph. It's like, why'd you waste page time on this? What was the point of it? Like, yeah, they say, oh, she got to be a messenger bird, and it's like, that's great, but why are we, you could have said that in another chapter. You don't have to waste one chapter where it's just her perspective, because there were a lot of perspectives of a lot of characters. And the other really big thing that I was not happy with, other than the characters, like the two main important characters in the original story, and then Ursula and Ariel's sisters, not having much individualism going on. I thought the ending was a disappointment. The ending was kind of lame. It was like, that's it. You know, it felt like all of a sudden, like, you know, it happened. The ending happened. It was like, wait, what? And I had to go back, and I don't even know what happened. I think I know what happened, but it's just like, it just abruptly happens, and then there's no, like, real, there's a little bit of there is a fight, but it's just very weird. And then, you know, that it was just, the ending was lame and boring, and it was very unsatisfying how the book ended. So this one is a thumbs down for me. And I feel like that's how it's going to be with these. They're going to be hit or miss. Some of them I'm going to really like and find them really cute and fun and be like, oh, this works for me. And then others, I'm going to be like, really, that's it? You couldn't do better than that? Like, I didn't like Concealed Don't Feel, and that's because it basically felt like the original movie. It didn't feel like anything new or different. I mean, yeah, there were some differences, of course, but it felt basically the movie, but just taking different directions. And then, but I really like So This Is Love. That one was kind of fun. And this one was, eh. So, I don't know when I'm going to read the next one, and what the next one's going to be. Like I said, I think my library has all of them. I don't know. Or at least all the ones that are out. I don't know if there's going to be any more. Like, I know that I am kind of interested in Mirror Mirror, which is the Snow White one, which I think that's the one that Larissa was interested in, that she talked about us reading. And there's, you know, the Peter Pan one, which is Straight On Till Morning. That idea sounds really cool. And then the Unbirthday, which is the Alice in Wonderland one, which that one, I don't know how I feel about that one yet. I don't remember what that one is about. And then, of course, there's the Beauty and the Beast one, and I'm always wary of Beauty and the Beast retellings or, like, added to the original Disney movie. Like, I never really read the one that was kind of a mid-quel story where it was, like, Belle finds the book that he has in the original, in the live-action movie, and goes into another world. Like, I wasn't sure how I felt about that one. And then there's the Rebel Rose, which is the story in the French Revolution. And I thought about reading that one, but I was not entirely sure about that one either, because I like the idea. But it sounds like they never, from what other people have said about it, they don't really explore the characters in the French Revolution. It's like the French, like, I watched Elliot Brooks' video where she talked about books that she and DNF'd or are the ones that she's planning on unhauling. And she talked about Rebel Rose, and the way she described it is basically, it's like the revolution is going on over here, and then Belle and the Beast are on the periphery and just trying to, oh, let's hope it doesn't come to us, kind of thing. And I mean, they could still be good, but I would rather, I think I'm hesitant. I mean, I should check the library at some point, see if it's there, or get on an audiobook from Libby, but I'm wary of it because I would rather it actually be during the French Revolution, them being mixed in the French Revolution and having to deal with it. Maybe Belle getting involved with it because I see her getting involved in the revolution and fighting for the people, the peasants. But maybe also her having to deal with the fact that she's married to a prince. And he's part of the royal, he's one of the royals, so they might go after him. The people might revolt against him, and that whole conflicting, which maybe the book does explore that. I don't know. But this is something where I would want to just get it from a library. And I think I do think I've seen it at my library, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm just nervous about reading it because of that. So, anyway, so those are my thoughts on Part of Your World. So tell me what you thought of, if you're reading Twisted Tales, if you have read this one, what did you think about it? Did you like it better than I did, or did you hate it even more than I did? I mean, as in, I didn't hate it, but did you hate it? If that makes sense. Or were you just about it? Share it in the comments below. And, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post new videos. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.